Welcome to Muddy River News this week. I'm Bob Goff. Proposition 61 is on the Tuesday, April 7th ballot for Marion County and Rawls County. It is a proposed tax increase that would help fund a bypass around Hannibal. And we are going to talk to opponents and proponents of that on this episode of Muddy River News this week. First, we'll talk to Katie Welch with Java Jive. Welcome.
Thank you.
Now, you are here on behalf of the Hannibal Convention and Visitors Bureau Board, correct?
Correct. I serve on that board.
And that board is opposing the referendum.
Correct.
Why so?
Well, we really believe that the bypass is going to have a negative impact on Hannibal's economy, and also on the number of through travelers that we see in Hannibal. And believe it or not, the majority of the travelers and people that we see downtown actually are through travelers rather than planned travelers.
Sure. I'm old enough to remember the old Mark Twain Bridge, which went right downtown.
Same.
And then they put the new bridge out, and people had these same concerns. But Mark Twain Avenue is still full of gas stations, and it still gets you right downtown. So, so that did not turn out like some people had concerns about. This, you think, is a little different, though, right?
Yes, this is far, far different. This proposed bypass would take travelers 10 to 15 minutes away from downtown, depending on the direction they would be going. So, you know, the moving of the bridge was just a shift of a matter of, a minute difference from what you were traveling before. To add an extra 10 to 15 minutes just to downtown, that's another 20, 30 minutes added to your trip.
Because the current iteration would start off south of Grandview Cemetery, correct?
Oh, far south.
South.
It would be at the intersection of M.
Closer to M?
It would be at M, yes.
Wow, that was old Crystal Blue Lake Road back in the day when I was a kid. So we would go from M, and then where would it rejoin 61?
At kind of the area where we call the Rocket gas station area. Yes. So.
Okay. So then it would rejoin there, and then people would then have to go from that point and then take that extra however many miles to get to downtown Hannibal.
Yes.
So, okay.
Yeah, it's almost 10 miles from that point, and then from the southern point, it's almost 7 miles, so about a 10 and a 15-minute drive.
Well, as a business owner as yourself, though, the other issue that comes into play here is the tax increase.
Oh, definitely.
Which you guys would then have to basically pass on to all of your constituents, those who drink your delicious coffee and buy all the cool stuff in your shop.
Yes. For us, every tax increase makes a huge impact because for us, we have regular customers that are there every day with their exact change for their regular drink. And so every tax increase always hits us. In fact, we just had one today. So we just raised, the sales tax just went up in Hannibal starting April 1st.
So, and then to get another one on top of this, you think would be a bit much?
Yes, that would be a lot. And then also the concern, not just like our customers and the impact as a business, but for lower and limited income people. That's where it really hits hard for them is those taxes continue to increase. Everything else is on the rise. Our utilities, our groceries, everything in life. So their budgets continue to shrink. We need to kind of protect that group of citizens also.
Before we flip the cameras and lights on, you said you were against this in its current form. Is there a more palatable form that you think would be acceptable? Because obviously the congestion near Hannibal High School is a big on McMaster's and /61 is a big reason for a lot of people big reason a lot of people want this. Is there some sort of alternative that you think would be more acceptable?
There's several alternatives. So I participated in the Citizens Advisory Group back in 2024, and they proposed, it was over a dozen safety improvements that could be made along the Highway 61 corridor. Some were outlandish and wouldn't be possible, but there were some that were very feasible and that could be quickly done. One that a lot of us were really excited about was creating a right turn lane from the Hannibal High School auditorium parking lot to Pirate Pride Drive. So that would allow that school traffic to stay out of the 2 lanes of McMaster's. And that, I think, should really just be done anyway.
Right.
But those projects were estimated at $12 to $20 million at the time. So you're talking, and again, that would be for all of them, some of them not being possible. That's a much smaller spend
Sure.
than what we're looking at for this larger spend. The other area that a lot of people really would like to see pursued further is the Veterans Road area. You know, when that was built, that was kind of the understanding everybody had, is that that was, you know, set up to potentially expand into some sort of bypass or truck route. You know, there's a lot of talk that that's not possible for different reasons, but that's a pretty clear-cut corridor, and I actually live out there, and sure. You know, the land's already purchased. There's room for expansion along there, and it would be a really easy cut right at W straight across to Highway 61. Right. So.
Okay. Anything else you would like to say before we wrap this up?
Well, I feel like we've actually kind of covered all of our points. You know, I will say that as a downtown business owner, we engage with our customers all the time. And so, you know, prior to this, you don't necessarily pay that close attention to who's coming from where, but all of our pass-through visitors now are just standing out, you know, like,
right, sure.
you know, we want to give them all a gold sticker, you know, thanks for coming.
Yeah.
But the visitor center has started tracking those numbers, you know, because again, their employees engage with everyone that comes in. And
sure.
so just in the last few weeks, they have already tracked that 66% of the people stopping at the visitor center were unplanned visitors. Wow. So I think that says a lot. The other thing that we hear a lot when we're engaging with them in the stores is they will frequently say, you know, oh, we were just passing through, we needed somewhere to stop to eat, but this is such a cool town, we're going to have to plan a trip back here. Yeah. So that's the other question I ask. How many of our planned visitors actually began as pass-through visitors?
Sure.
You know, and so for Hannibal, we, you know, I know it slows people down, but we are 6 to 8 hours from every major city. So if you think about people traveling from big city to big city, we are that perfect middle ground. Right. And so if you already have to slow down, well, then you're going to plan your gas stop, your lunch stop there. You know, you're always going to plan that at the closest to the highway. And so I, you know, think that there are other alternatives that could be pursued, and I think there's just a lot of gray area with this and not enough details in black and white that, you know, I think it makes it too big of a risk.
All right. Well, Katie, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Coming up next, we will talk to a proponent of Proposition 61 right after this.
The Tower, a great place to meet and eat. But did you know the Tower has one of the finest drink selections in our area? Along with its incredible Mexican menu, the Tower specializes in tequilas for every taste. Names like Patron, Cabo Wabo, and Hornitos. And don't forget the margaritas. On Mondays and Tuesdays, stop by and pick up a single topping pizza and get Tower margaritas to go. Enjoy the Tower at home or in our dining room, bar area, or the Tower's signature climate-controlled porch. The Tower Pizza and Mexican in Quincy.
Welcome back. We are talking about Proposition 61 in Northeast Missouri, and now we're going to talk to a proponent on the issue, and that would be Aaron Ball. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
You are here representing the Hannibal Regional Economic Development Council, correct?
Yes.
And that organization supports this endeavor.
They do, yes.
They support this endeavor because if anybody's ever driven on Highway 61 at a certain time, especially when Hannibal High School is in session, Hannibal Middle School as well, it gets a little crowded.
Yes, it certainly does.
And this is a safety issue, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of the main focus on this initiative is the safety in front of those schools. We're building the Innovation Center across the highway now, so those students will be crossing, whether it's through the crosswalks or by bus. And we also have 460 students from outside our district that attend that campus. So,
and that number could grow.
It could,
because I know they're
so.
just now getting that. Underway. This is, of course, on the ballot on Tuesday, as this airs on Sunday, and it is also a half-cent sales tax.
Yes.
You don't like paying more taxes.
No,
nobody
I don't think
does,
anybody
right?
does.
But you think this is important enough that the sales tax is necessary?
Yeah, I do. A typical family of 4, this will amount to between $60 and $100 a year, just going by their average spend.
Right.
And, you know, we're asking the taxpayers of Marion and Rawls to help fund this with a TDD. And by using a TDD, we could potentially unlock some funds that MoDOT has access to when there is a share portion.
I'm old enough to remember the old Mark Twain Bridge that went straight downtown. And when the new Mark Twain Bridge went, a lot of people went, oh my God, it's going to kill downtown. Didn't happen.
Nope.
Mark Twain Avenue, still plenty of gas stations. On a beautiful summer's weekend, downtown Hannibal's full of people, especially 4th of July weekend. What do you say when people talk about how this bypass will be detrimental to the downtown area?
Our thought is Hannibal is a destination and will remain that, and the tourist district has done an excellent job of attracting the tourism and passersby to make that trip downtown, and we still feel that that's going to be the same. I don't think we'll see a drop off on the tourism side of things and people that are wanting to visit downtown.
The bypass would go where it would start right around Route M, right?
Route M, and then head to the west side of Hannibal and connect out by the Rocket where 24 and 61 come back together.
And then it would connect to 36, or it would just go ahead and connect all the way up to 61?
There's an existing on-ramp at 36 that,
Yes.
that
So that would, in essence, be the connection.
Yes.
Then. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Leave that part of it. That's again, that's already there. I also know some other people who are looking at this would like to see that maybe be a little closer, maybe along Veterans, and that would be another route. What is it about going all the way out to the Rocket make more sense? Is it just because you've already got the existing connection there?
That's part of it. We're asking the taxpayers to help fund this, and the closer you get to the Hannibal city limits and downtown, the cost goes up dramatically, and up to $200 million more than the route that is probably going to be the one chosen.
What's the proposed estimate on this right now?
About $140 million.
Pocket change, right?
Oh yeah.
We're trying to build a new bridge here in Quincy, and of course every time you talk about this, and there's nothing you can do for less than $100 million these days. Of course, that's money that I still can't really comprehend. So. Again, so the safety and the necessity for this is and again, this is one of those weird things where you have not, a lot of times when you have things like this, a lot of the civic organizations are usually banded together in support or in opposition sometimes. This is weird where you've got kind of people on the opposite sides of the fence. Of course, we're all friends and neighbors, and there's no need to have fist fights over it or anything. But I think this is something that still people are passionate about this. I think people see the need. But a lot of times, whenever you're dealing with government, it's watching the sausage get made, and sometimes that's not pretty.
Yeah.
But I think if you want to be an advocate or something, you've got to have a plan laid out, and this is the plan that has been laid out.
Yeah. This was originally started in 1996, and through different environmental studies, and we recently updated that. This has just been consistently the path that has the least impact. Unfortunately, the farm ground is part of the impact, but it minimizes the residential impact. So
Sure.
that's farm grounds versus homes in this decision, and that's
nobody ever likes
that's
eminent
tough.
domain, but
absolutely.
Sometimes you have to do that to make stuff happen.
Yeah.
So, well, Aaron, again, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate
Absolutely.
you stopping by,
Thank you.
and hopefully, people in Marion and Rawls, regardless of how you feel about the issue, will show up and vote on Tuesday.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all the time we have for now. I'm Bob Groff. We'll talk to you next week.